I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Yes, I can. Doubt, better leave. I'm running with this plan. Pull me, grab me. Rappers in the bucket can't have me. I'll be the president one day. Jam will be first. Oh, you like that gossip? Like you the one picking what gossip.com. Now I got a word for your tongue. How many Rolling Stones you want? Yeah, I got a brand new spirit speaking in this gun.
Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Marion Brinker.
Tobin Brinker.
Are you Tobin Brinker?
I am Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. Want to get your blood pumping this morning?
Right.
Because it's almost time for the weekend.
Wow.
So, yeah. Are you a live, alert, awake, and enthusiastic?
I'm trying. I just got to make it through one more day.
So,
I've got my weekend.
I have to talk about your ridiculous outfit.
Let me stand up for the cameras real quick. Hold on.
Tobin is wearing a tutu, and I'm not kidding.
Yes, I am.
So what's the theme today for you at work?
So we've been doing dress-up days all week at my school. It's we have a pep rally today for all the sports teams, and today's theme is Coachella. And the kids pick the themes, right? So this year the themes have been a little different, and I'm thinking, and they announce it, right? And they say, okay, so wear your best Coachella gear, but you have to still be in dress code. And I'm thinking those two things don't go together.
No, and I'm thinking, what are the girls going to wear? They're going to wear cutoff shorts and cowboy boots,
Yes.
or are they going to wear? They can't wear rave gear. That wouldn't be dress code.
No, they can't wear the bikini tops. They can't wear the, this is what we were talking about at work yesterday, right? What are they going to wear? So a lot of the ladies were talking about like getting like a big, what's the flower, the daisy?
Yes.
They wear getting some big daisies and, putting something in their hair, or hats, a lot of hats.
Yeah, and then maybe a Beyonce T-shirt for the girls or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you'd wear. It's hot at Coachella. People hardly dress.
Exactly. So,
It's
It's going to be an interesting day at Frisbee today.
It sounds like it.
But I'm excited for my runners because they do a pep rally and they recognize all the fall teams. So my runners get to be introduced, and they get awards for being scholar athletes. So they do a GPA check, and they announce the GPA of each team. And I'm always excited to see how my team, stacks up in that category. We typically do pretty well. We got a lot of smart runners, hardworking smart runners.
So, the Kavanaugh saga continues.
Oh, yeah?
Well, apparently, the woman, the crazy woman, Julie Swetnick, who said that she was, she gave a sworn affidavit via her or through her attorney, Michael Avenatti, who's crazy. She gave a sworn statement that she would, essentially knew and had firsthand knowledge of these gang rapes that were going on. And then when she actually was talking to the press, it's like, well, she kind of walked it back. But your sworn statement is what matters, right? That's what you say under oath. And the Senate Judiciary Committee says her allegations were not credible. She gave this sworn statement. It's, they're investigating. So she could be in some hot water, and Avenatti could be in some hot water. Now, he already had like a multi-million-dollar judgment because he's not paid the rent at his office building for ages, and so he's getting the boot. He's got all kinds of financial troubles. I
think there should be a consequence for someone who makes that kind of claim against somebody,
Absolutely.
Especially if it's proven that it's false, and it's obviously done with malicious intent. And therefore, I think there's, we have laws about that. Right?
Yeah.
Libel.
Yeah, well, and beyond that, you cannot give a sworn affidavit into the public record over something that you know to be demonstrably false.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
In politics, you can say just about anything you want about a candidate, but you're still held to the standard of it must be true.
So Chuck Grassley wrote a letter, excuse me, He's saying that the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley on Thursday asked for a criminal investigation into whether Julie Swetnick and her attorney Michael Avenatti conspired to provide false statements to Congress and obstructed a congressional investigation during the confirmation process for Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Grassley wrote in a letter to the Justice Department that Swetnick and Avenatti made serious allegations that required significant resources to investigate. But Grassley says the information from the media interviews and elsewhere indicates their statements likely contained materially false claims. He says, I don't take lightly making a referral of this nature, but ignoring this behavior will just invite more of it in the future. And he's right.
Yeah.
Avenatti released a sworn statement in which Swetnick said she witnessed Kavanaugh, quote, consistently engage in excessive drinking and inappropriate contact of a sexual nature with women in the early 1980s, unquote. Kavanaugh, of course, vehemently and angrily denied the allegations. And of course, then that became the issue. Oh, he doesn't have the temperament. He was just accused of gang rape by a crazy person.
Yeah.
You know, tell me a man that wouldn't make angry. Seriously. Yeah. This is a classic case of be careful what you wish for. He said, the only way you test whether my client's allegations were true is to find out whether they were true or not through an investigation, Avenatti said. But Grassley said that Swetnick subsequently contradicted herself in media interviews, and there's a lack of credible evidence that she ever met or socialized with Brett Kavanaugh. Friends of Kavanaugh also told the committee that they'd never heard of Swetnick. Avenatti also represents porn actress Stormy Daniels, of course, who claims she had an affair with President Trump. I'm sure President Trump didn't. I am sure she had an affair with President Trump. And I'm sure that he paid her off. She's a hooker, right? She's a prostitute, porn star.
Yeah.
So he paid her off to keep quiet. She decided that she could get, even though she took the money, she decided she could get more money by essentially extorting him or going to the public or, and it blew up in her face.
Yeah. Well, and she's a winner in this. I mean, because, in her line of work, she's now raised her profile. She's getting, bigger bookings and bigger gigs and whatever. So even though she isn't getting more money from the president, she's getting money from a variety of different sources. She got the book deal. This was a serious cashing in for her, And what's interesting or fascinating about that whole Stormy Daniels saga is that it's a big yawn for most people because everyone knew this president was an absolute sexual cad, right?
Yes.
He'd basically admitted it himself in his own books, how he, you talked about it. He left his first wife because he had an affair with his second wife. He left his second wife because he had an affair with his third wife. This is not a guy who has a moral fiber that says, I can't have sex with someone who's not my wife.
No.
He does that repeatedly throughout his life and writes books about it. Himself. Trump does that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So to expect that somehow he's been this really honorable, guy who's never cheated on his wife is just ludicrous. And to think that people would be upset when they find out that he's not an honorable guy and hasn't cheated on his wife. It's like, are you living in the same world?
Yeah, it's like the friend that you grew up with who comes out as he comes out, and everybody goes, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
How do you know? I didn't tell you. Yeah, sweetie, we know.
Yeah. You told us in 1,000 different ways. Yeah.
So, anyway, I wish that Michael Avenatti would just go away. I'm glad though that they are chasing this down. And you can't. He is such a media hound that he will, obviously has no scruples about anything as long as he gets himself in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And I think at this point it's going to bite him in the backside. He especially should have known that his client was a crazy person.
No, I agree. And you're right. This is about him more than it is her. He just likes the media. He likes to insert himself into any story he can. And, he wanted to be the hero that brought down Kavanaugh, right? And figuring that this would be the next stage of launching his career.
Then he would be a lefty god.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Didn't happen.
No.
Sorry.
Because your client was not credible.
Yeah.
So with that, let's take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
Hey, have any beer in the fridge?
Nah, I thought you got some.
The game starts in 5 minutes.
And you drank the last beer at midnight on Friday.
I wish there was a place that delivered beer.
Yes, I'm Captain Crafted. I'm here to bring you beer. That's Captain, C-R-A-F-T''D. Why? Because there's no E, just a D, as in deliver, because Captain Crafted delivers.
That's right, the Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business with great prices and deliveries of your favorite beer, wine, spirits, water, ice, and mixers. Did I mention their great prices? That's CRAFTDBEER store.com or Fred Crafted Beer Store on Facebook.com. Make it easy. Google Redlands Beer Delivery. Look for Crafted Beer.
Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business, and I'm here to deliver.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 55 years. Carpet Masters uses extraction cleaning for your carpet because there's no better cleaning to remove the soil from your carpet. All of our furniture cleaning is done by hand in your home or in our plant. Carpet Masters also offers dry cleaning for fine furniture. Call Carpet Masters at 793-7215. That's 793-7215 for Carpet Masters.
It's that time of year again for the second annual KCAA Trunk or Treat, Sunday, October 28th at the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. This is one of our biggest events of the year, and it's open to kids and families of all ages. What better way to enjoy a safe, fun, and entertaining Halloween than to be surrounded by classic cars, food vendors, booths, and more. Oh, and free candy for the kids. The KCAA Trunk or Treat in Redlands, October 28th at the Tri-City Shopping Center, where the 10 and the 210 meet between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. More info available at 909-793-1065.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
It's too hard to sleep. I got the sheets on the floor, nothing on me. And I can't take it no more, it's 100 degrees. I got one foot out the door, where are my keys? 'Cause I gotta leave, yeah, in the back of the cab.
Welcome back. I'm Marion Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
We are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So we got to talk about this wave of humanity that's continuing its march northward from Central America.
Should we wave at the wave? Hi, wave.
No.
No? Not hello?
No.
More like, see you later, alligator?
Well, I mean... So the president has come out and said that he's going to send 800 troops down to the border, and that's in addition to the people who are already there, right? So I think there's like probably between 2,000 and 2,500 border patrol and other agents who are down at the border who will be meeting these migrants. He's sending another 800 down there, and I have such. We have to stop this group at the border and weed out the ones who have gone through the process. They were told that they had to register either in Guatemala or in Mexico for asylum at a consulate in those countries.
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, then they need to be pushed back. Then they need to the ones who did apply for asylum have started the process, though they need to be vetted. But then, if they're actual refugees, then we need to do what the international community has agreed is the right thing to do for refugees.
Yes.
And that is to bring them in and at least have some sort of process for them.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, at least not in the short term. it seems that Trump has made a political calculation that this is an issue that riles up his base, and that by taking the sort of the strongman approach of we're going to send the military to the border, we're going to just take back all of the money that we've been giving to these countries. We will not let them in. That kind of very strong, definitive language is going to help turn out Republican voters. And so I guarantee there's not one of those people will step foot in this country before the election. Now, after the election's over, we may see a slight softening of that. But
we're not going to take in all 10,000.
Yeah.
I think that if they were to let in, and the number is growing because they're adding people as the caravan moves forward. I mean, they're in buses, they're walking, they are however they can get up here.
The stories that I've read basically say part of the reason that it's growing is that the route that they're taking runs sort of near a giant smuggling route that is very, very, very dangerous, and that when you're traveling alone or in a small group, you are very susceptible to violence and being robbed and harmed along that smuggler's route. And that by traveling in such a large group, that they are, I don't want to say immune from that, but
there's safety in numbers.
There's much more safety. And so this is why you see the group growing, because people view this as a safer way to get to their destination. And I believe, as we've talked about, they are getting outside support. The question, of course, has been, where is all that support coming from?
I think it's got to be a government, because that's you think about the needs of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
They toileting needs. They have they need food. I'm sure that that some of them have needed medical care. And I don't there's no there I don't I'm not hearing any stories about those people. I mean, this is a long walk, folks.
Yeah, it's interesting. I found myself thinking the other day, because I just finished teaching my Africa unit to my students, and in the Africa unit, we learned about Mansa Musa, who traveled from Timbuktu in West Africa all the way to Mecca, right? He's a Muslim. He was on a pilgrimage, and he took 60,000 people with him.
Holy cow.
Right?
He was the richest man on the planet.
Yes, and he gave away so much gold along the way that they disrupted the world's gold economy for a decade. There was just so much gold out there because the 5 pillars command that you give to the poor, and when you've got that much gold, everybody's poor. Plus, you've got to take care of, as you said, the needs of 60,000 people. So you're buying up all the food everywhere you go, right? As it's a traveling city, and 10,000 is that's a small city, but it's a traveling city, and where do they stay? Do you have hotel beds for that many people? How are they?
They're sleeping on the dirt.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's all kinds of logistical things when you have a group that size that are kind of unimaginable, right? But obviously someone's imagining it because they're doing it. They're figuring it out. But that is not an easy thing to do.
So the caravan is still weeks away from the U.S. border, and Mexican authorities said the number of migrants has been decreasing rapidly from
Really?
Do you believe it?
Yeah.
From an estimate of 7,200 by the United Nations earlier in the week to 3,600 on Wednesday. The Mexican government also said it had processed 1,700 asylum claims. I don't know that I believe those numbers. I mean, the 1,700 asylum claims, okay, perhaps, because there's documentation for that. And the other ones, I don't know that I believe it, because it doesn't look to me like that, based on what we're seeing from our media, that those numbers have dropped that dramatically.
Yeah.
So I think that, it's interesting that the conversations that people are having on social media, some people just say, essentially mow them down. They're invading us. It's like, come on, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Stop. It would, first of all, it would be such an international humanitarian nightmare. Any credibility the United States had at all ever for anything would be gone.
Yes.
If the Marines went down there and opened fire. Let's be honest.
And honestly, when I hear about sending the soldiers to the border, my concern is that because all it takes really is just one soldier who gets a little trigger happy, right? I mean, I think about historically, like the Boston Massacre, right? You had folks that were calling these soldiers names and throwing rocks at them, and somebody shot a gun off, and before you know it, they're all shooting, and 5 people were dead, right? And this was a precursor to the American Revolution.
Yes.
If one soldier loses their nerve, gets in a situation where they feel uncomfortable, and they shoot their gun off, now we've got an international incident. You know what I mean? it could escalate quickly and be very bad.
Well, and I know that at least some of those migrants have to be armed.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. It's going to be fascinating to me to see how it resolves itself. But again, it will not resolve itself before the election. I guarantee that. Trump is he's going to make sure that nobody crosses that border until after the election.
So people are saying that that sending the military down there will be ineffective. Well, what else are you going to do?
Right.
Do you have another solution? Because you can't let that wave of humanity in.
Well, and Trump's counter argument has been that the other side really just wants to send a giant welcome mat down to the border.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. So we will see. Yeah, we will see. I think that most Americans see this as some kind of invasion.
Yeah.
This wall of people, and the thought that this wall of people would come and have access to our welfare benefits and all of that.
Yeah.
The country has to push back and say no.
Yes. So I just want to say this for our listeners because I got a little excited this morning when I saw the titles of all the different articles that you picked for us for today, Aaron, because they all have numbers in them, and I love articles with numbers and lists. And you really hit the jackpot today because we're going to talk about 3 volcanoes. We're going to talk about 2 packages. We're going to talk about 100 websites. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do the volcanoes since you brought that up.
The 10 most reliable car brands. And we got so many stories with numbers in them, Aaron. Okay. So apparently there are 3 very high threat volcanoes that are located here in California.
Oops.
And,
are you serious?
I'm serious. And the USGS, the Geological Survey, I guess the last time they did this was like 2005 when they created their list of like the most dangerous volcanoes, and they're constantly monitoring. Well, they finally did an updated list, and there are 18 on this sort of active watch list, and 3 of the 18 are in California. And so all of a sudden, I'm nervous, especially because we were just in Hawaii on the Big Island right before the volcano erupted there.
Yes.
And we were up close to it, and when you see one, it's kind of inspiring. It's kind of amazing. And then after we left a few weeks later is when the eruption started, and oh my God, we've seen the damage and the power of that thing.
Well, we've also seen the lava flows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that's the most incredible because
miles
in areas, where it's just utter destruction. There's nothing because nothing can grow on it.
Yep.
And so we would see these swaths of apocalyptic landscape, and then you get to a place where lava didn't flow, and it was lush, green, dense forest.
Yeah.
Well, rainforest essentially because it's Hawaii.
Yeah.
So tropical forest, and so it's kind of terrifying. And you figure anything that is in the wake, because there's literally nothing that can stop a volcanic flow.
No, and these volcanic flows can be miles away from the volcano, right? I mean, they're coming out the top, they're coming out the side, and they travel. They travel.
Well, all the way to the sea. That's where they end up, and that's how the island is grown.
So so if you're near one, you don't even have to be all that near. I mean, you could be miles away and still at risk. I mean, so it's just fascinating to me. So they do threat scores of these volcanoes, and none of the big 18 changed their overall threat levels, even though 11 had overall threat scores that were kind of dropping, but their scores were still at the same basic level. Among the threat scores, threat scores also rose for Oregon's Newberry volcano, Wyoming's Yellowstone. Besides the top 5, the rest of the 18 are Mount Hood, the Three Sisters, Crater Lake in Oregon, Akutan Island, Makushan, Mount Spur, Augustine in Alaska, Lassen and Long Valley in California, Mount Baker and Glacier Peak in Washington, and Mauna Loa in Hawaii.
So the Long Valley caldera, that's Mammoth.
Yeah.
In the Mammoth Lakes area. That's kind of terrifying. And that one is a very high risk. Because apparently, and they monitor the activity, in the volcano itself, so they know that they can feel the rumbling and the increase in pressure. There's gauges down there that's how they know that a volcano's about to blow.
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking. So, it's nice to maybe go and look at one from far, far away, but I don't want to be up close to a volcano because if something happens, You might not be able to run that fast.
So most of the volcanoes are far from California's largest cities.
Yeah.
And several produce heat that's used to generate electricity in what's the world's most productive geothermal power plants, such as Salton Buttes. And that's 160 miles southeast of Los Angeles. And Clear Lake volcanic field, and that is 85 miles north of San Francisco. And that powers, apparently there's a geyser steam field up there. I didn't know that.
Right.
Those are considered to be the second highest risk category, as is Medicine Lake volcano in Siskiyou and Modoc counties. So Mount St. Helens, when that blew, and it was violent. People died, and there was ash everywhere. And it wasn't the thing about Kilauea, which I think is number one on this list.
Yeah.
The thing about Kilauea, it's this gentle. I mean, it's not. It is still a volcanic ash. I mean, still volcanic flow, but it's a gentle flow.
Yeah.
It's not this explosive thing where it's shooting ash thousands of miles into the air or whatever,
Yeah.
hundreds of miles into the air that would damage the atmosphere around there and all of that.
Yeah.
In the same way. But in Mount St. Helens, it was more of an explosive eruption.
Yeah. So anyway, 3 in California.
Well,
Ooh.
now that. Well, and the other one that's scary is Yellowstone. I mean, if Yellowstone, if they've increased the threat risk on Yellowstone, that is a massive, massive caldera.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fascinated by volcanoes, but I can't even begin to explain how happy I am that we weren't in Hawaii when it actually blew. That's scary.
That is scary.
And because we were just there, we have an image in our mind of what the place looked like, and then they show on TV what's happening, and you're like, oh my God.
It's got to look totally different.
Yeah.
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 So with that, let's take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292FQ Riverside, and K293CF Moreno Valley.
California Headline News. As more critics of President Trump have been targeted with packages containing explosives, some congressional Democrats from here in California say they're concerned for their safety. Bay Area Congressman Mark DeSaulnier says there's a heightened sense of fear.
They have to put all the mail through a machine to make sure that there's nothing suspicious about it. Now we're more worried about things at your place of residence.
Through the years, security measures at local congressional offices have been beefed up, with cameras monitoring who comes in and flyers reminding the staff how to identify a suspicious package. In Apple Valley, a suspected shoplifter opens fire at a Winco store.
A fight broke out with loss prevention and the male suspect. During that altercation, the suspect pulled out a handgun and fired several rounds.
Authorities say Charles Scott and a woman had piled stolen items into a baby carrier with an infant inside. A female employee grazed by a bullet. Shot fired after the suspect was confronted by security. Jeff Scott, California News.
On Election Day, we need to vote yes on Prop 6 to repeal the gas and vehicle tax. My name is Denise Duncan. We've been in business since 1997. The cost of living and doing business in California is already too expensive, and then they slap a higher gas and vehicle tax on us that will immediately cost the typical California family nearly $800 more. It took our local politicians 6 days to pass $52 billion in new taxes. Every dollar we have to pay in new taxes is a dollar we cannot pay a new employee or invest in our business. No wonder many businesses are closing or moving out of state. We all want to fix our roads and bridges, but we already pay billions in taxes to cover these repairs. If you are angry every time you see what it costs to fill up at the pump, take it out on the ballot box this November. Vote yes on Prop 6. Repeal the gas and car tax.
Paid for and authorized by the National Federation of Independent Business, California Political Action Committee.
California Headline News. Police in Fairfield say a man is dead after getting shot by his passenger while driving a car with a baby inside. The incident starting yesterday afternoon when a woman in the vehicle flagged down a cop screaming she'd been kidnapped. The suspect took off, and during the chase, the woman reportedly shot the driver, who was taken to the hospital where he died. The pair believed to have been in a relationship, and police say there was an 18-month-old child inside the suspect vehicle during the chase. The incident under investigation. California News, I'm Jeff Scott.
It's It's time for traffic on KCAA. I'm Erin Brinker. In Rancho Cucamonga on the 210 eastbound before Carnelian, a wreck with a big rig is blocking the two right lanes. CHP is on the scene, and stop-and-go traffic is backed up from Mountain Avenue. In Corona on the 91 westbound at Auto Center, a two-car crash is in the left lane. The drive is slow from Grand and stays busy ahead to the 241. There's still a SIG alert in Ontario on the 10 eastbound at Archibald. A major wreck has the two right lanes blocked. Stop-and-go traffic is backed up from 4th Street. The 10 West is busy from before Haven. This has been your traffic report on KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Sunny this morning and hot, a high of 91. Clear this evening, low of 59 with strong winds. Sunny and hot on Saturday, a high of 92. Clear 59 Saturday night. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California, KCAA, 102.3 FM, Riverside, 106.5 FM, Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM, Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Drivers, when it's time to visit the DMV, avoid the long lines and save time by calling toll-free 833-DMV-LINE. That's 833-DMV-5463.
We can't be everything to everyone, or can we? The station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. General Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, and Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral John Richardson, they had letters that were sent to them, envelopes that were sent to them that tested positive for the deadly poison ricin at the Pentagon's mail facility.
Wow.
So that's
and those letters actually predate the bombs that just showed up at these Democratic offices, right? And so we are seeing, and you've been talking about this for a while now, an escalation from rhetoric to action. We're seeing people that are doing violence as opposed to talking about violence.
Yes. We have had kind of a civil Cold War going on, like a civil war, but it's been cold.
Yeah.
In the same way that the Cold War with the Russians was cold, meaning that these people, the two different sides, our country is deeply divided, and people are becoming angrier and less tolerant of one another. And when I say tolerant, I mean, they really can't. They think the other side is either evil or crazy.
Yeah. And they only seem to see the bad in the other side.
Right.
They don't see the bad in their own side. They're completely blind to that, right? But
yes.
But they're very open to seeing anything that all puts the other side in a bad light.
And so there's some people who have reached a point, especially, and I'm going to blame the 24-hour news cycle for part of it, and our president's rhetoric for part of it. But this predates him. This has been building for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
And forgive me, you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm starting to get a cold. That how stressed people are, that's amping up and amping up and amping up and amping up, and some people have had it and they're ready to act, and we've seen it happening. From the riots in Ferguson and that the Black Lives Matter movement, having riots, burning things down, to Antifa in the streets, to like the what's happening on college campuses where they don't even want to hear alternative points of view, from to what happened at Clarksburg.
There was a train there, the last train to Clarksburg.
You're funny. No, in the Carolinas with the it was in Virginia, Charlottesville.
Yeah,
sorry, forgive me. Like I said, I'm starting to get a cold. So, and all of that, it's been amping up and amping up and amping up, and now people are really starting to act out. Ricin is a highly toxic compound extracted from castor beans,
Yep.
and has been used in terror plots and is lethal in tiny doses if swallowed, inhaled, or injected. And it's apparently 6,000 times more potent than cyanide.
Yeah.
You know, do you remember I think it was the late 80s, early 90s where there was a ricin attack on a Japanese train?
Yeah.
And there was this crazy cult that did it. And people just were dropping like flies.
Yeah.
I mean, it was...
They were inside a closed car, and I think it was gas. They did it as a gas form.
They did. It was a subway, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, in Tokyo. So if ingested, it causes nausea, vomiting, internal bleeding of the stomach and intestines, followed by liver failure, and then failure of the spleen and kidneys, and of course, death by collapse of the circulatory system. So it's nasty. And so this was sent to Madison. And here's the thought, too. You know, if I were a postal worker, I'd be kind of freaking out right now.
Right.
I mean, their job is stressful. It is stressful. And, it's the repetitive nature of what they do and the importance of what they do makes it very stressful. So, yeah, people are starting to act out. This is not good.
So I just did a Google search for like the biggest ricin attack, and I've got a Wikipedia page here that lists 26 different ricin attacks. Yeah. And it looks like these are just, well, I guess a couple of them are foreign, but a lot of them are here in the United States.
So did they list the one in Japan?
I am not seeing the one in Japan. Maybe that was different, but I'm
why don't you talk about those and I'll find it.
Okay. No, the first one on their list is one from 1978 in London. It was the assassination of a guy named Georgy Markov. Then there was one in Virginia, attempted assassination on Boris Korczak. And these are looking like, maybe this is something the Russians do, because these look like Russian names. There was one in Russia and Chechnya in 2001.
Oh, I remember that. And I just looked up the Japanese attack. It was a sarin gas attack.
Okay. And I think, let's see, the one in Russia and Chechnya, was this the one in the theater where they killed all those people?
It was a school.
Homemade production, Russian soldiers. Yeah. 2 landmines, 30 grenades. Wow, okay. So instructions. Yeah. So it's amazing to me, this is like the terrorists, go-to poison, I think. It's one of the big ones. Because it's, I think, relatively easy to produce compared to some of the other ones.
So it's scary. It's very scary. And if you see, I'm going to put a challenge out there to everybody who's listening. If you have friends or know of people who are starting to act out, please help them come back to earth. It's not all right. It's not okay behavior.
Yeah.
A civil war will be bad for everyone. It will be, you talk about the American Civil War, and Tobin, you know this because you teach it. It was the bloodiest American war ever. I mean, there are more Americans, because there are Americans on both sides. We lost how many people? 500-something thousand people?
600,000.
600,000.
Yeah.
So, which is an insane number, especially given the population back then.
Yeah.
People were sent home maimed, and, they had fortunes decimated, and, this prosperity that we're enjoying, not that life is perfect, but this prosperity that we are enjoying would go out the window if we were engaged in a civil war.
Yeah.
It is not the right way to manage your problems.
And for all the talk about quote unquote Russian collusion, what the Russian collusion's real aim was to divide us.
Well, and we were already well down that road to begin with.
Exactly. They want to sow discord. They want people, had Hillary won, the Republicans would have been the ones saying collusion, 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 right? They set it up in such a way so that both sides would think the other side had cheated to win, right? Because they put their thumb on the scale in a variety of different ways, and to leave just enough information there so that people would get upset about it, right? And what's surprising me is that we're not upset. We don't seem to be as upset at the Russians as we should be, right?
Yeah.
Which would normally draw us together. Typically, when you have a country that's being attacked by an outside group, it pulls the country together to face that outside threat. But instead here, we're still bickering and squabbling amongst ourselves about petty stuff and not really seeing the true threat for what it is.
It's what strikes me, especially since the news came out that so many of these sites that have these inflammatory, hard to believe stories, and have names like, I didn't do it.com and, newspunk.com, and I just made both of those up. But people still share. They don't even look to see who shared it in the first place, where it came from. And if you are sharing news that seems a little outrageous or a lot outrageous from a website that nobody's ever heard of, chances are that's not real news.
Yes. And now I'm thinking we have to go and copyright and get those websites set up. I've got another one, Truth Soldier. There's a good one for us.
Oh, that was probably already taken.
I know, right? Darn it. As I said it, somebody was logging in.
I know, they've snatched it. They'll sell it to you.
They will.
But so, and people who I know have better education and better training to be able, they should be able to use a little discernment.
Yeah.
But because they get that confirmation bias, they're going to share it. See, this article says that all Christians eat, babies for breakfast.
Which is exactly what I've always believed. Therefore, it must be true. Yeah. No, it's bad, Aaron. It's bad.
It's bad.
And I look at this, my school district a few years ago was embroiled in a national news media scandal. Students were presented with information from a bogus website that presented Holocaust denial information, and the kids were asked to write an essay on it. And it was we had serious egg on our face in the district, and it was completely mishandled from step one all the way through the scandal and the process, and it was embarrassing. But we were dealing with kids, right?
Right.
The problem is now is you could basically go around and look at any household, any adult, and find numerous examples of people being sucked in the same exact way. And it's not like a national scandal that we have so many people that are so historically illiterate and don't have the skills for actually being able to evaluate what's truth and fiction online.
Yeah.
And they're just sucked in.
Because history has not been prioritized.
Yeah.
In the schools, it's been math and English.
Yeah.
And I understand. I mean, I that's what we test for. I get that. But what the kids lack is discernment.
Yeah.
And now, kids are not always known for their discernment. But guess what? Kids grow up, and at some point they should have some. And it appears for many of us we don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anything, we need to have classes that teach these kids basic fact-checking skills, and that they should approach every website with skepticism. And have a process that you go through before you post things, before you use them as fact.
Okay, so is it, Tobin, that you and I are cynical Gen Xers, and because we're so cynical, we just assume everybody's lying to us?
Because everybody's lying to us, Aaron. Trust no one.
Trust no. So with that, it's time for a break. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@KCAAradio.com. The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is serving up some really cool ice cream at La Micho Acana. Then get your chocolates and other delights from C's Candies. Moms and future moms who visit the mall can cool off and relax while they get treated like royalty at Shiny Nails or Francis Nails and then pampered at Texture Hair. The Tri-City Center is filled with retailers who care about you. Shop at the Tri-City Center in Redlands and see why they call it the mall with a heart.
How many commercials do you hear every day claiming to be the best weight loss program ever? The only problem, you spend a lot of money, you lose the weight, you gain it back. Plus, when all it takes is adding protein to your diet. Protein gives you what you need and reduces hunger. NutriPro is pure protein. It's not the newest fad. It's not the latest weight loss program, but it helps to stop those daily cravings safely. There's no magic. It's simply a 2-ounce shot of protein taken twice a day, 20 grams of pure, clean protein in every shot with absolutely no carbs, no fat, and no sugar. Feel full faster and keep feeling full longer. It never requires refrigeration, mixing, or dilution. It is simply easy access to protein anytime, anywhere. But it's not available in stores. It's available directly from the manufacturer. Go to myproteinnow.com and try a 20-count trial pack today. Go to myproteinnow.com for a special introductory offer, including shipping. Do it right now. myproteinnow.com.
It's that time of year again for the second annual KCAA Trunk or Treat, Sunday, October 28th at the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. This is one of our biggest events of the year, and it's open to kids and families of all ages. What better way to enjoy a safe, fun, and entertaining Halloween than to be surrounded by classic cars, food vendors, booths, and more. Oh, and free candy for the kids. The KCAA Trunk or Treat in Redlands, October 28th at the Tri-City Shopping Center, where the 10 and the 210 meet between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. More info available at 909-793-1065.
Are you or a loved one suffering from addiction? You're not alone. There is help, and people are getting help every day. Call Share Recovery now at 888-254-6801. That's 888-254-6801. Or go to sharerecovery.com, spelled S-H-E-E-R, recovery.com. If you have insurance through work or family, your treatment may be covered at little or no cost to you. Plus, you can't lose your job if you decide to seek help. Share Recovery offers all levels of treatment. We understand what you're going through and know how to help. Make the best decision of your life and call Share Recovery now, spelled S-H-E-E-R. The number is 888-254-6801. That's 888-254-6801. The start of a better life begins here.
So, you didn't like that opinion, okay? Give us another 15 minutes. This is the station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
Everybody wants to listen to this song now and sing along. Such a great song.
There's an old man.
You know, I used to really love Billy Joel. He's a phenomenal songwriter. You know, and there is good songwriting going on in the indie world and folk world and other places. The good songwriting is not happening at all in the pop world.
No,
at all. We're in this we're lost in the desert in the pop side of things.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of songs don't even really have lyrics per se. They have just a hook that they repeat over and over again.
Right,
and that's all you get is just a hook.
It's essentially chanting.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not. Well, we've talked about that subject.
Yes.
Our pop music is in a sad state at the moment. So Gizmodo has a list of 100 websites that shape the internet as we know it, and it includes things. I mean, there's 100, so we're not going to go through all of them, but it has things like Icon has Cheeseburger, and it has Internet Archive and MySpace and Yahoo
but number 100, Aaron, on the list.
What?
Blingy. Bling-E.
I never even used Blingy. I was vaguely aware of it that it was there.
I had no idea.
Hamster Dance is on there.
I had no idea, but I'm thinking to myself, boy, this is cool stuff, Aaron.
Not on Blingy, on Hamster Dance.
Yeah, Blingy. It's a form of art, Aaron. Right?
It's annoying, flashy, blingy
sparkles, shimmering.
But do you remember when websites,
rotating leaves?
In the in the early days of the internet, people put up some of the most hideous websites.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I understand that this is a new sphere, but that's ugly in any sphere. What are you doing? And so Blingy was guilty of adding to that. It was really ugly.
Yes.
So The Onion has the number 4 place because we only have time to go through like the top. Let's do the top 10. And so the number 10 is eBay. No, number 10 is MySpace.
Number 10 is MySpace?
MySpace.
I didn't even know MySpace still existed.
No, this is from ever.
Oh, this is historical. This is like over the time, the whole thing.
Yes. Listen to your and it's in the show prep. 100 websites that shape the internet as we know it.
Yes, ma'am.
So
sorry.
MySpace is number 10. And it was because it was the first, social media. That was the first thing that people used. I mean, they were using ICQ and other, AOL chat groups and things like that. But this was the first real social media site. And you remember it was fun. You could, add your own music and add your colors, and mine were always kind of dark and spooky. And
AOL is only number 18 on the list, Aaron. They didn't even make the top 10. And I used to live in my little virtual AOL world.
Okay, well, we were early adopters. We got AOL in early 1994, if I remember correctly.
As it was connected to the internet.
Up to the internet. That was before DSL.
Yes.
So, and it was an internet, because it was the internet, but it wasn't the internet, because you had access to the AOL world, not necessarily the broader world. And when I that dawned on me, I was like, well, I want to be able to get out there on the internet, not just the AOL community. Because back in the early days, people didn't know how to structure it. Right, because it was literally a Wild West. It was brand new. It was manifest destiny.
Yeah, once Google made it easy to find other stuff out there, then it was like, okay, now I want to venture out.
Before that, though, there was Yahoo. Yahoo was the big. I mean, before Google came along, Yahoo was the number one browser, or search engine, not browser. But even browsers were different. Netscape was the big one. And then, of course, Internet Explorer.
Yes. So number 9 on the list is eBay, Aaron, and now I've got that song in my head.
That Weird Al song?
That Weird Al song, right? Because you can buy it all on eBay.
On eBay. So, I liked eBay. I remember I was wanting to plan an event. It was a gala dinner, and I found centerpieces and I found all kinds of things on eBay. eBay is still there. You can still buy all kinds of stuff. I know people who buy all of their clothes on eBay.
Yeah, and you embraced internet shopping way earlier than I think a lot of folks. You've been really good about that. It really grabbed you.
Yeah, because I hate going to stores.
Yeah.
So
for me, it's been kind of a slow thing. I mean, I do more of it now than I did, but I'm more the person I want to be in the store, try it on, look at it, touch it, feel it. Number 8 is Reddit. And whenever I think of Reddit, I think of our son.
Yeah, he loved Reddit.
This was a place where he could get lost for hours, and he just found all kinds of interesting topics with just fun stuff. And he likes that you can kind of vote things up and vote them down, and the way that people sort of bring their stuff to the table.
There is a conversation on Reddit for absolutely everything.
Yep.
One of my favorites, so I like the News of the Stupid, which is on Reddit. It's one of the R News of the Stupid. The other one that I like is R Florida Man.
Yes.
Because there's so many crazy, ridiculous stories that come out of Florida, and people post them to R Florida Man. But if there's anything that you can think of, there's a conversation happening about it on Reddit.
Yes. Now, number 7 is Netflix, and this is definitely one of our top 10. We love Netflix. We watch all kinds of stuff, and it's changed the way that TV is done. It really is.
It was to call it disruptive would be an understatement. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the quality of the content that they put out is just amazing.
Well, I loved it because initially it was just you're just going to get movies, and they were just discs, right? So before they started streaming, they would mail the discs to your house, and you could get all kinds of movies mailed to your house, which really, I mean, that pushed Blockbuster. Blockbuster, when Netflix came along, should have moved into that space in a heartbeat, and they didn't, and it cost them everything. And so... but then Netflix started. They said they wanted to out HBO, and so they started creating this original content, and so much of it is really good.
Yeah.
So we have about a minute left. Number 6 is Twitter, and we all know, of course, what Twitter is.
It's Trump's home.
Internet Archive is number 5, and you can go. That's like your Wayback Machine for the internet. The Onion is number 4, which is awesome,
right?
Especially people who don't realize that it's satire. Number 3 is YouTube.
That's a big one.
Number 2 is Google.
Yep.
And can you guess what the granddaddy of it all is?
Wikipedia.
Yeah. Wikipedia.
And remember that when Wikipedia started and they all like, oh, you can't use it, it's not reliable. Well, now they've tested it. It's actually as reliable, in some instances more reliable than actually other encyclopedias.
So it surprised me that Amazon was only number 17.
Yeah.
Facebook was 19. Now, because Facebook, yes, there's 1 billion people on Facebook, but it came after MySpace. It was the next thing. It didn't shape it in the same way that MySpace, that some of these others. Well, MySpace was further up the list, but it wasn't the disruptor. It came second. We use Facebook all the time. We love Facebook.
Yes. Well, it's not a popularity contest, Aaron. It's
Yes,
just
it
not.
is. Yes, it is. So with that, we're at the end of our show for this weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll see you on Monday.